Toxic relationships. They're very easy to spot in feeling and very hard to respond in thinking. Toxic relationships, there are many ways actually to find out whether your relationship is toxic or not. You'll find multiple articles saying 15 signs whether your relationship is toxic or not, or 35 signs of this and that and all the rest of it. But and granted, it could feel very, very confusing as well as to whether it's toxic or not, or am I being crazy or not, or it's he being crazy or not, if they are being crazy or not. It is very difficult, but it's also very important to know whether your relationship is toxic or not, whether it's healthy or not, and whether it is time to work on it or call it quits. Toxic. The word toxic in itself means unhealthy. It means it's not contributing to your physical health, your emotional health, and your mental health. Now, if you start looking at it that way, you'll suddenly realize which signs to look at. For example, you're being stressed all the time. You have headaches. You're afraid of saying no. You are, your social health is on decline because you start thinking very differently about yourself. You don't feel that good about yourself. I know, granted, that it's not your partner's responsibility to make you feel good about yourself, but at the same time, your interactions with your partner, if they leave you feeling shitty about yourself, then there might be time to have a look at what's going on, right? So here are some of the things that we do that could make a relationship healthy or unhealthy. And remember the word too much. The word too much. And the comparison is not others. The comparison is yourself. It's too much. Too much to handle for myself. So if you see these couple of things that I'm going to talk about as too much for you, then there might be a time to either talk to a counselor or leave that relationship. First, you find yourself being defensive a lot. Now, defensive essentially just means that you are defending yourself because you feel attacked. You bring, every time there's an argument, you bring about things from the past. You're like, but you did this and you did at that time, you did this. It's defending yourself constantly. Second, stonewalling. You don't want to talk. You sulk and you make this big wall around you and you're like, I am done. I don't want to discuss this. It's more convenient for me to shut up than to talk to you. It's too much to talk to you. Criticism. You feel criticized a lot and out of context. And you criticize a lot and out of context. This constant bickering about small little things. Small things become big. And that becomes too much. Too much criticism. But I think the last one's actually very important, which is too much contempt. And contempt is actually, you don't even have to wait for contempt to be too much. The very presence of contempt will tell you whether your relationship is healthy or not. Contempt meaning you look at somebody and you don't think that you can respect them. You don't think that there are aspects of them and great aspects of them and many aspects of them. And you look at them and you wonder, how can someone be like this? And yes, granted, that judgment, that evaluation is based on your personal value systems and your personal, what you value, basically. Yes, your value system and your personal idea of what is good and not. But at the same time, we all have this sense of common decency and we have this sense of objective understanding of what's good for life and what's not. If you're constantly, example, suffering and struggling with challenges around drug abuse, if you're constantly challenging around physical abuse and emotional abuse, you start wondering, I can't respect this. So contempt comes in. So when you see yourself being defensive or your partner being too much, when you see too much of defense, when you see a lot of criticism, when you see a lot of stonewalling, retrieving back into your own little cocoon, and when you see a lot of contempt, you may realize that this relationship needs more attention, or this relationship needs to be said goodbye to. And it's really hard. I know it's very easy to sit on this chair and tell you you should leave your partner, but we might carry the same, patterns of behavior in a next relationship. So yes, every relationship is a chance to look at yourself, because no one but your romantic partner can show you your romantic self. You can have lovely, lovely, lovely friends whom you can sit and talk to till you're blue in the face, but you will never know how you get jealous, what jealousy feels like. You would not know what's insecurity. You would not know what romantic negotiations look like and what do they say about you until and unless you have somebody romantic in your life. But we don't need to have, not everyone needs to have a romantic partner in their lives. But to say that your romantic self is revealed to you only when you are in a romantic setup with somebody. So these are some of the things that you could sort of think about when you're thinking whether my relationship is toxic or not, or whether my friendship is toxic or not as well. So when you find your relationship being toxic, it's time to talk to someone. And I hope you're able to solve it out. But if you're not, and you see that there are things that are beyond your control, then it might be time to say goodbye. Thank you.